Welcome back to Farm Traveler. So it's a little hot outside. Here in Florida today with the humidity, it was I think 107, which sucks. But it's hot all around the country right now, currently in June. And so some crops are struggling, some crops aren't. But because of awesome technology like hydroponics, you can grow indoors all year round and not really worry about the climate. I mean, it's still going to be a little bit hot, but you can control the temperature a lot better. And there's a great technology called hydroponics, which we've kind of talked about on the Farm Traveler podcast. And today we are doing another farm tour with an awesome farm in Tallahassee, Florida. Today we're going to tour Legacy Greens and talk with their founders, Jordan and Daniel. Now, if you might remember, we had them on the show about a year ago, and they grow awesome microgreens and edible flowers. I think they have something like, I don't know, 10 or 12 different varieties of microgreens that they grow. And so in the tour today, we're going to walk through the process, how they start off the seeds, put them in hydroponic systems, how long it takes for them to grow, how they harvest it, and how they also use a very special plastic for the containers that their microgreens are in, and how that plastic comes from recycled water bottles, which is really cool. And so we're going to tour their facility. It was so much fun. There is a little bit of fan noise because they use fans to help control the air in the warehouse. So it's super fun. I think you're going to enjoy it. And be sure to check out Legacy Greens. I'll link all their link stuff below in the description. So we're finally touring more farms here on Farm Traveler. I hope you learn a thing or two. I sure did.
It's already kind of warm in here.
Yeah.
For an indoor growing space, while it's warm, we're making it work. But that's why we decided to start with the container.
Okay.
So we were in here, it was 100 degrees. We're like, we're never going to be able to grow anything in here. We need a controlled space.
Yeah.
And so the container essentially allowed us to park it in here, build it out how we needed it to, and we were up and running within a couple months once we decided to split from the contract.
I mean, not only important for the plants, but also for you guys who are not sweating bullets.
Exactly. And we had an AC workspace to be in.
Yeah.
And then what happened was the winter rolled around and it started to cool off in here. And we're like, wow, this is actually comfortable in here. And maybe at least during the winter time, we can get some crops done.
Mm-hmm.
And by then, we had already insulated this. This is where the original farm was going to be. Just getting ready to start putting on some flowers, all the nasturtium, violas and pansies kind of mixed in. You got a bunch of marigolds, and then that's the borage back here. Pardon my mess.
No, you're good.
But yeah, this is the borage back here. Those are the buzz buttons, bachelor buttons, calendulas, snapdragons, just to name a few. Yeah, I wish there was more flowers going on, unfortunately.
There's a couple.
There's a couple, yeah. There's
there
a
we
couple
go.
just starting to come on. But it just kind of happened to work out with our scheduling of everything.
So I know growing inside, you usually don't have to worry about pests, right?
Correct.
So have you encountered them in the past?
We have. We've actually encountered a small patch of spider mites.
Okay.
And they were actually on some of our older marigold flowers, which used to be in that bed.
Really?
And they just tend to come in really just on us. On people.
Okay.
It's typically if you're at home gardening, depending on where you're walking, if you're out at the compost, which is why we have the foot bath up there.
Right.
But that's typically how they come in. Essentially, we just eliminate that crop. We chopped all those flowers down.
Okay.
We cleaned the beds and areas. We inspected everything really thoroughly. This is what we started with. We went from the guest bedroom at the house with just 34 racks. Yeah. And then another reason why we would like this idea is because we didn't really know what our demand was going to be. How much greens can we sell? Is Tallahassee market even capable of buying all these greens?
Right, yeah.
You know, and so this was another reason to start here, because it was definitely more than 4 racks, but it wasn't a whole warehouse that we needed to build out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we started with this. It was an empty container, just had the door on it, and we did the floors, we painted the walls, we built all the racks, we installed the AC, the dehumidifiers, the fans. And then, just the electrician did the power. And so, so these are all my automated irrigation systems.
Okay.
So I don't actually do any more hand watering at this point. Essentially, you got a tank down below, and then once a day, the water will actually pump up to the top tray. It'll fill to a certain point, and then it'll cascade down to the next tray. and it'll make its way all the way down to the bottom, and then return back to the container.
Nice.
And then the pump's on the timer, and so the timer shuts off, and then all the water drains away.
Okay.
Yeah. And then this is actually not a micro. This is more of a baby green.
Okay. Yeah.
Obviously see, but this is the Mizuna mustard.
Okay.
It's kind of funny. We were still figuring this one out, and I was growing it longer than we really should have been, and Daniel just took it out to some chefs, and they like loved it. And I'm like, no, here's the right Mizuna mustard. This is how it's supposed to be. They're like, no, we don't want it like that.
Yeah.
No thanks.
And show the chef something, and that's what they're going to expect every week.
Yeah, that's
good. Yeah, once they see it, once they want it, that's what you got to make for them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah,
So since y'all have scaled up a little bit, I mean, are you working more with Tallahassee-based chefs, like bringing because you have like a larger supply of grains?
95% of our business right now is commercial.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. We're doing about 40 restaurants between Tallahassee and Panama City Beach.
Really? Okay.
So
cool.
we go all the way almost to Destin.
here, the red garnet amaranth.
Oh, that's pretty.
Stuff's to give me problems, but
Oh, really?
yeah, it just tends to. It's always with the heat because they germinate out there.
Yeah.
I'm starting to have some issues in germination, which is leading just a little bit of damping off, but stuff that happens just about every farm. But I'm working through it.
There you go.
But the Detroit red beets, another popular one. Red acre cabbage, arugula. So this is this week's arugula. This is next week's arugula. You can kind of see
The difference
about
there,
a
yeah.
2 week crop.
Okay.
At least that's how I like to grow it. And then the chervil is actually a newer variety, micro herb. That one's been really nice as well. It's got like a licorice taste to it. Yeah. And then here, this is what we're calling our. These two racks are kind of our baby greens.
Okay.
But essentially, we take our dark opal basil and we're going for about 4 weeks.
Okay.
To essentially get them to this point. And the chefs have really been enjoying the larger basil like this. And so that's what's going on here. And then you got your red vein sorrel down there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I think we got about 20 varieties that we're actively growing.
Okay.
25 if you count blends and mixes, and
Okay.
the edible flowers adds another 20 or 30 varieties if you want to count individual flowers.
Well, again, my naive thinking in the past, but like you can pack so many flowers into a small space. I mean,
I bet,
on
yeah.
on one of those racks out there, I mean, each shelf alone can produce 200 to 300 flowers a week.
Yeah.
And you can cut all those, and next week it'll be all full again
It'll keep
with probably
growing.
even more flowers.
That's impressive.
And just the regrowth on them is just literally it's almost a weekly turnover. They're really efficient. They come back looking better and fresher.
Yeah.
And just the variety. I mean, there's so many different edible flowers that I didn't even know existed until I started looking into them.
Yeah.
Your scale, some of your packaging, your knives.
Yeah, one of the things too that from a sustainability aspect, obviously we use a lot of single-use plastic. However, before we were using these completely single-use dart containers, and we've actually found a company called Bottle Box.
Okay.
These guys, what they do is they recycle millions of water bottles each year.
Really?
And this clamshell, for example, is made out of 2 recycled water bottles.
Wow. Okay.
So please reduce, reuse, recycle. Throw these guys back in the recycling bin so that they can be made back into these nice little clamshells for us.
That's neat.
Now, because 95% of our business is restaurants, almost all of our restaurants are getting these large tubs each week, and we're actually swapping these out.
Oh, okay.
So
nice. I gotcha.
next week's harvest will go in, freshly harvested greens will go in here.
Right.
The chefs will give me their empties, and we swap them out for these. So
that is, it eliminates.
eliminates.
Are they really big fans of that too?
They love it.
They love it? That's awesome.
These
That's cool.
guys hold the freshness a lot better.
Yeah.
They're burpable.
Yeah.
Not as much moisture gets into these guys.
Okay. Yeah.
And what's nice is they just throw these in the cooler. They take out what they need for the line, and then they'll just refill their container at the line.
Nice.
So they're not opening and closing the same clamshell over and over and over again.
Most, at least when you're packaging them, the smaller ones, they'll put the whole thing on the line. It'll sit there all day, and at the end of the day, they put it back. And they're like, "Well, my greens are going bad.
My greens are
going
gone, yeah.
What's going on?" And I'm like, "Well, you're working in a hot kitchen."
Yeah.
Good side.
Good side? Yeah, the back.
The good side. Which side's the good side?
They're all the good side.
All the good side?
Yeah,
working on this side.
essentially, this is essentially how the process starts. You kind of have a cup labeling. So every tray will get a label. Every variety has a certain density.
Okay.
And so she essentially prepares all the cups beforehand, and it comes out and starts spreading them.
Okay, so I've seen some people when they're growing them, they put cinder blocks on top.
Yeah, that's germination.
Okay.
So yeah,
so that's what y'all are doing right
you
here.
plant
Okay,
right here,
cool,
and then
cool,
you
cool,
turn
cool.
around. Yeah, you got germination. Yeah, it's a nice flow. You got everything you need.
Everything
You grab
right
your
here, yeah.
trays, You put them out. You prep them. You germinate, and then you go into the container, or they go out there.
So how long do they stay here?
So it depends on the variety, but anywhere from 3 to 7 days.
Okay.
So like the cilantro and the chervil are
Right.
7 days. So those are the longest ones.
Okay.
And then like pretty much everything else, pretty much 3 days.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, how cool is that? Great technology, and I'm so excited that awesome farms are starting out here in North Florida, Tallahassee, using hydroponics, aquaponics, all that good stuff. So I think it's great. Now this is like, I think the second or third like big time farm tour we've done here in Farm Traveler. So I'm learning a lot. I hope that, you know, the camera work continues to improve. Allie was on a business trip, so we didn't have her camera expertise like the Hawaii chocolate video, which I will also link below. And so I'm slowly figuring out that to make these videos, I've got to work on storytelling. Like really figure out how to tell the story of the farmer, their processes in a logical way where, you know, it comes off naturally for them, and you, the viewer, can also learn really well during the course of the video. So we'll see. I'm going to brainstorm on ways we can do this in the future. So anyway, yeah, cool little tidbit. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a thing or two about microgreens and even hydroponics. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already. We're going to have more farm tours coming soon, and I think it's going to be great. So thanks for watching. See you next time.